to share the revenue with in
All
order
right,
to
we're
support
back.
the cause around the world. That's the real topic.
Oh
As
my
Tempo
God.
Store, I'm going to have a Syrian player to show support.
Huh?
We have the only Indian player so far. We have a Chinese player.
That's
Nobody
far
cares
from
about
Syrian.
Nobody
That's
cares
far
about
from
Indians or
Syrian.
Chinese people
Okay.
right now. What we want to know is when are we going to see a Syrian Tempo Storm refugee player
Oh my God.
with his fucking sponsored iPad living
When
in
Syria, when Syria gets better internet.
Oh, so it's only.
I
the
thought
internet.
that's one of the big reasons all the
Only
pro
the
gamers are
internet.
leaving Syria. Isn't that going on? They're trying to find better internet in like fucking Germany and shit. Wasn't that part of the reasons for the
Think so.
migration?
Think
I
so.
would leave Syria if I wanted to be a pro Hearthstone player.
That's why both of the pro gamers from Syria left in.
Oh my God. All right, welcome back, guys. Just a reminder that you could see on the break screen that we do have a Patreon for Unfiltered. It's patreon.com/unfiltered. You guys want to support the show and help us continue doing these wonderful episodes, support, and really appreciate that. Okay, let's move on to Game Awards. So lots of discussion in the last couple days in terms of the GameAwards.com is doing an annual gaming awards, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's something that I feel like gaming's been needing, is something that's everybody agrees is kind of like the gaming type of just the awards that people really look to. And the Gaming Awards is trying to do that. They're sponsored by a lot of big organizations and run by some good people too. So they announced their nominees and their jury and advisors recently, and our Richard Lewis here happens to be one of the folks on the esports advisors. And do you actually get to vote, or are you just advising? Like, what's the deal there? Like, I don't actually.
So
understand.
basically, they expanded the awards into esports this year, which is completely valid and a smart thing to do on their part. I was approached and asked if I wanted to make some suggestions for their categories, and I think how it worked was you could submit up to 5 suggestions in each category, and then it was aggregated to arrive at a final 5 for each of the categories. And obviously, there's not many people, especially from a journalistic background, that have my level of experience. So I got asked to do it. I said yes. And that is the sole involvement I've had. Yeah, that doesn't seem
okay.
to have prevented all of this hoo-ha.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that have come up, we'll get into like the categories, and we'll probably just pick a few of our favorites. But a lot of the drama that's been surrounding this is that the jury, as well as the advisors, happens to only include one woman. And
I saw those tweets
yeah.
from that Brianna Wu, that fucking batshit insane.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I'm on their radar now, Steven. So
That's true.
Common.
That's true. So yeah, people, feminists like Brianna Wu, obviously, brought that up, and were basically commending people that actually were dropping out of being in the jury, because of that reason. So let's talk about that. So, just not to get too far down into the whole gaming feminism thing, because again, that would be an entire episode again.
I think it's all been done to death, and actually,
Yeah.
I don't even see this as an issue. I think it's quite simple. I don't think 1 out of 32 judges is acceptable at all. I don't even think that's a fair reflection of the. I believe when they did a survey, it was something like 11% of games developers or prominent members within games development companies are female, are women. So even with that percentage, you would expect to see more than a solitary one on the panel. So I think absolutely we should be pointing to this and saying let's do better. Where I don't understand is how I've been sort of brought into the argument as being I'm the person that is suppressing women being there. And I'll tell you exactly what's happened here. There are two things that have made the progressive... That is what's been said, actually, if you can look at the tweet.
Yeah, I know, but that was... Okay.
Well, what's happened is Brianna Wu, in her infinite wisdom, seems to have conflated two very disparate concerns that she has, and one is the lack of female representation, which I absolutely agree with. And I, as I've just said, I'm not just saying that for effect. Total Biscuit agrees. I think we can do better than that. I think we could have had more women judges. But secondly, obviously, I write for Breitbart, which is the fucking the complete anathema to the progressive left, because we actually call them out on their bullshit. So because I just so happen to write for Breitbart. It doesn't matter. All my years of experience in esports suddenly doesn't matter one jot, because it's the Breitbart person that's actually holding back women. In Brianna Wu's tweets, she specifically said, I find it was something along the lines of, I find it interesting that they've given a spot to Breitbart, but only one woman, as if Breitbart doesn't employ any women, which isn't true either. We even in our text section when we launched, we have a wonderful female columnist. So I find it very perplexing. But this just goes to show that once again it becomes not about facts, but about propagating a completely false narrative about how everyone's oppressing them, and anybody that writes to a slightly contradictory standpoint to theirs is somehow inherently evil.
So I wasn't here for as much of the pre-show, but real fast, in case Reynad didn't know this, Richard Lewis is the show's martyr. If you missed that, so kind of updated.
No, but I mean, look, I'm absolutely not being
Push that cross behind him.
I find it hilarious because even if they do try and exert some pressure to have me removed, my contribution's already pretty much been made. I advised what the choices should be, and I imagine that nearer the time when it comes to selecting winners, I'll be consulted again, and that's about it. The idea that Breitbart as a whole are somehow inherently involved is just a convenient fiction for the so people can get fake outrage out of it. So that's all.
Wait, have they changed this list? Are there 2 women on here now? Let me see.
Well, obviously, if someone drops out, there is an option for somebody to come in.
Okay.
Maybe that's happened recently, but certainly, I think it could have been more representative. I make no bones about it. But yeah, it just seems to me a somewhat ridiculous. Stephen can identify with this. He had SRS come after him when he had the temerity. I can't.
Well, okay, all right. Can we don't have to go on this.
All right, so
No,
just
but
to get this clear, there's a video game award thing, and there's 32 judges.
Yes.
And somebody was angry that only one of the judges was female and tweeted about it.
Yes.
And then Twitter circle jerk happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Can we
Yeah.
just?
In
Why are we dignifying this with 5 minutes of our time?
Well,
I
I agree with you, but unfortunately, what you have to remember here is that one of the sort of groups on this particular left, the people, the disciples of the Brianna Wus of this world, are very seriously mentally disturbed individuals, and this has been proven time and time again in their actions, and they like to sort of propagate these lies about people. For example, there was a Gamergazi thread. It's a terrible subreddit. All about me and the things I'm alleged to have done, which is very interesting. There was this one where it says, "This is the type of guy who will call someone a pleb and tell them to fuck off on Twitter for no reason at all." And I will let you bring this up. Of course, there's always a reason. I mean, the biggest reason of all, of course, is behaving like a pleb. But if I can just show you, Chris, this is the thing. What they conveniently did here was they cut off the initial tweet, which was. Right, so it's got all the other tweets there, except the one where the individual tweet. Yeah, the individual tweeted at me saying, "I obviously don't understand academia. I don't understand academic studies." So it was this aggressive tweet that was aimed at me for simply saying that this study that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show is ridiculous. And I said, "Yep, no, fuck off. There's a good pleb." Because I said the study was worthless, and apparently this is me doing it for no reason, and they use this to justify why I should be removed. So this is like, I don't know.
We brought it up just because there were some people trying to get Richard removed from this whole thing, which is like I think pretty ridiculous. But yeah, I think we all agree there should have been more female representation in the jury, and hopefully they'll. Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be a quota, but I think there are female representatives that could have been good too. To be in the jury.
Yeah, the representation was pretty bad. Yeah. I think we all agree.
Let's talk about nominees.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody disagrees with that. That's the ridiculous thing. That for once, I would imagine everyone agrees, and yet we're still trying to find some way to pick apart and find someone to blame for this. When of course it's the selection process itself that is to blame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's talk about nominees. Let's just pick a few that maybe that we can talk about. Game of the year. You guys play these games? Fallout 4, Metal Gear, Super Mario Maker. Wow, and The Witcher.
What?
Super Mario Maker is on here? Wow. Okay.
Witcher 3, followed by Metal Gear Solid 5. And Fallout 4 is going to win it because of fucking Bethesda fucking jerking pieces of shit. Yeah. But The Witcher 3 100% earns that.
Witcher 3,
nothing there. Nothing else there is even remotely close to the level of MMORPG or of RPG is Witcher 3. Not even close.
How do you feel
about Have you played Fallout, Steven?
No, I don't. I've played Fallout 3, so I know everything there is. Fallout 4. Okay. What the? Oh, you guys can build bases? Great. I've seen enough shit about Fallout 4. It looks like a Bethesda RPG. Bethesda RPGs are okay, but no, fucking Witcher 3 fucking stepped that shit up so fucking hardcore. The story of the company is inspiring as fuck. The CD Projekt Red, didn't they have wasn't there like a 20-person studio for like The Witcher 1 or whatever? Like they came from nowhere.
We're talking about the game though. We're not talking about the
No, I know, but I'm just saying everything works. Like for that studio and that game that they put out, like everything was fucking amazing.
They made money too.
Yeah, and they made money.
Richard, you're saying something?
If Fallout 4 wins it, that's a fucking travesty.
Fallout 4 probably win.
I'm about 20 hours in, and the writing in it is absolutely terrible. It
always is in Bethesda games.
Yeah, but I mean, this makes the writing in Fallout 3 look layered, right?
Morrowind
hideous. And on top of that, the engine's still fucked, and it's full of bugs.
Yeah, actually, just the engine
because they've had 10 years to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, the engine it doesn't seem like much of an improvement from what I've seen.
It's unbelievable. So I mean, look, if it's the first ever Fallout game you've played, then you might have a good time on it. It's a passable game, but for fans of the series, it's a fairly wretched entry in the canon, and I don't think anybody really disagrees with that that are Fallout fans.
What do you think, Reynad?
I feel ill-equipped to judge this, right? The only game here I've played is Fallout 4, and I've played maybe 10 hours of it, so it's tough. I played 5 minutes of Witcher, tried streaming it. 5 minutes in, I'm like, this is not a great streaming game, even if it is a great game.
Yeah, so, that's true. Okay.
Bloodborne was really well done. Bloodborne was a very well done game
too. Yeah.
But the scope of the game is so much less than the other three, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, and Witcher 3, that it's hard for it to stand up, I think.
Right. All right. How about how about developer of the year, guys?
I feel like a lot of these run into each other.
Yeah, they're pretty much.
If you thought that Witcher 3 was the
Red,
game of the year, then don't you pick the CD Projekt Red?
It's essentially the same thing. It's like the developers of the game of the year. So
yeah, because all of these developers only made one killer title last year, right? Bethesda has Fallout 4, CD Projekt Red has The Witcher. I don't know what the fuck From Software did.
All right, how about let's pick something we will know something about. Okay, esports game of the year. How about that? Call of Duty, CSGO, Dota 2, CSGO. Hearthstone, or League of Legends.
It has to be CSGO, I think.
CSGO.
In fact, when I had to submit my 5, the only thing I put on the list was CSGO.
Yeah, CSGO.
There wasn't even any point in entertaining it.
Dota 2 already had their explosive TI stuff. It doesn't. It's not as earth-shattering anymore. League has been in the scene, and it's kind of like Reynad. I feel like what Reynad said about a lot of the games are kind of peaked and they're just kind of staying there. I feel like CSGO was the one that had the most growth recently.
Oh, for sure, and even I think 2016 will it will show even more growth, right?
What the fuck is
trending gamer?
Why is Call of Duty on there? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Yeah, why is
it really?
They could have done anything for that.
They could have just stuck StarCraft on there.
They should have done Smash Bros. Melee for that.
Melee would have been a good one.
Yeah, Smash would have been. It was a big year or at least the part of the year was a big year for Smash, and should carry over. Okay, trending gamer. Monte Cristo, Greg Miller, Markiplier, PewDiePie, and Total Biscuit. All right, well,
I think Monte Cristo goes there.
What the hell is trending gamer? Define trending gamer for me.
Trending sounds like up and coming to me, growing would be my guess. That's what trending means.
Is Monte Cristo
Greg Miller?
I don't know. Hey, let's do. Who is Markiplier League dude?
Yeah, I don't know him either.
I'll be honest. That kind of feels like it might just be award fodder, something for people's agents to be busy with.
I think they needed to put PewDiePie on something so that he could tweet their page.
Yeah, exactly. TB should actually have been on the jury, man. But I guess he's a nominee. Actually, so we can't do that. So, all right, esports player of the year. Okay, this is something we can. All right, Kenny S, Faker.
See, these are always bullshit, right? There's zero chance that Faker loses because they split the votes. They did the same shit in Golden Joystick. How do you split the votes with like 2 CS:GO players, 2?
Yeah, that's true.
You cannot win. The Dota vote is split, the CS:GO vote is split, and then there's Faker.
You could do it if they don't use if they use a different voting system. Like if your first person doesn't make it, then your second vote is counted. I don't know how they're doing the votes, of course. Like if you write down multiple people.
Oh, you can vote multiple times, kind of thing.
Yeah, you do multiple.
Yeah, Faker's gonna win this thing.
I feel like Faker has like the most far-reaching. Like he's in league, which is huge, and everybody agrees that he's like the best league player.
He's the Michael Jordan of esports right now. Like, basically.
And then if anybody's like a fan of Thorin, then they're literally ready to get on their knees and suck Faker off like at any opportunity. So.
Oh my God.
I feel like he kind of.
I don't think anyone's in that category.
Thorin would do that for Faker. I'm pretty sure. If Faker goes to porn, Thorin will retire and become his like professional fluffer. I guarantee.
Esports team of the year. E.g. Fnatic, Optic Gaming, SK Telecom T1, and Team Solomid. SKT, right? Probably.
I mean, I kind of lean. I don't know. I lean.
You think Fnatic? Oh, yeah.
You kidding me?
Okay.
Easily Fnatic. The best CS:GO team for a long ass time, and like the best fucking non-Korean league team. Do you know how hard? Like,
that's a good point. That's a good point.
The 2 biggest esports. They had easily Fnatic, I think. But,
there you go.
Richard, no comment?
No, I think Fnatic were a good shout indeed. When I submitted mine, I made the point of sort of distinguishing between the two, because obviously a team of the year to me isn't necessarily an organization of the year. So again, I think this is one of the kinks that sort of need to get ironed out as these award ceremonies learn a bit more about esports. But on that basis alone, you would have to say, Fnatic have had the best CS:GO team, an amazing League of Legends team.
There's an award. There's an award for the most anticipated game. What kind of award is that? Okay, whatever.
I've never heard of any of these games though, unfortunately.
I haven't either. Uncharted. You've heard of Uncharted. Come on.
Oh, I guess, but like as most anticipated game, I haven't heard. I don't know what The Last Guardian is. I don't know what Quantum Break is. I don't know what No Man's Sky is or Horizon. I've heard of the Uncharted games.
We are so esports heavy. That's ridiculous.
No Man's Sky.
No, not even. I'm not even like super. I played I played every game on that one list. I'm not like totally esports centric. I've just never heard of any of these.
Here's a category for you: best fan fiction. Steven.
What? Is this a real category?
For you, man. Best fan fiction. GTA 5.
The Trump X Hafu pasta, like 3 pages long.
Dude, where's the Hearthstone, man? It should be on here. Fuck.
There's only one Hearthstone fan fiction ever written.
Wait, is there actually a fan fiction category on this?
There's plenty with you and Leah. Come on, dude.
Wait, what's it called?
Really?
Oh, was that fan faction? Was that fan fact? Not fan fiction. All right.
Wait, what's the fan fiction thing called on this?
It's called best fan creation.
Best fan creation. Oh.
Yeah. I guess this is YouTube videos, I believe. Or playing trailers.
I have no fun.
All right. Anyways, I think
Isn't this just going to be added to like everybody else's award of the year? Doesn't every website have like a game of the year? Like doesn't IGN and all these other things?
A lot of people do. So the joysticks, Golden Joystick's a big one too. But this one's run by some pretty notable organizations. So it'd be nice if there was something that people converged on and became like.
Yeah, but then you'd have to get the other companies to give up their.
No, I mean there's multiple award shows like for everything, right? There's Golden Globes.
Not really, no.
There's Golden Globes and SAG Awards, and I mean there's all kinds of fucking awards. It's just the Oscars.
But like movies, like people say like the Oscars or like the.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there's space for multiple awards. It's just be nice to have one that's like the award show.
Or like the Emmys.
Yeah. But anyways, that's December 3rd. Check it out. Moving on, let's talk some about Oddshot TV. And yeah, let's do this. Okay, for those of you that don't know much about Oddshot TV, it's a site it's a content site that basically shows clips of content that's basically taken from Twitch streams.
Wow, how biased. Can I tell people what Oddshot is?
That's exactly what it is.
So what Oddshot is a way of delivering content from your favorite streamers so that you can see it in an accessible form after it happens, all right? sometimes you have these great moments in streams that are just lost to the universe, and so people have the ability to put it on Oddshot so everybody can share their favorite moments of their favorite streamers with all their friends and family. That's what Oddshot TV is.
Okay, yeah, that's what Oddshot TV. And you guys have probably been starting to see it, pop up on Reddit. People just posting Oddshot clips of their favorite moments and events or shows or whatnot. And so I decided to bring it up, obviously, because Reynad posted something or talked about it on the stream recently. It's kind of at the top of our Hearthstone right now, and it's something I talked about a month ago too, but I didn't talk about publicly, so I didn't really say much about it to anyone outside of Reynad here and maybe a few other people. But since it's more public now, I figured it would be good to discuss it. And so let's start off by this. So Oddshot TV, is this kind of business, is this business all about basically taking advantage of other people's copyrighted content? Is that what we're talking about here with Oddshot TV?
I'm not going to try to pretend to know what their motives are. I'm assuming they're trying to sell to somebody once they have enough monthly traffic. But
okay.
They just steal content and rehost it. Like, I don't understand why Twitch lets it exist for this long,
Yeah.
Well, wait, how could Twitch...
Well, so there's a Twitch plugin. There's actually a Twitch plugin that you can install that makes it like super easy to make these clips and automatically post it on the Oddshot website.
Is this an official Twitch plugin, or is it a third-party extension that uses Twitch API or something?
It's a third party, I believe. It's not. So I don't know whether they are part. Yeah, I don't know if they're partnered with Twitch or not, but there definitely is a third-party extension that makes it incredibly easy, like almost as easy as I think it's exclamation shot in the chat, and you can start your clip or whatever, but it's like really, really simple. So yeah, anyways, that's the answer to your question.
I don't know, man. Like,
that's exactly what it is.
My thoughts have been said, I think.
Well, for those of the people that, or for those people that haven't seen your thoughts.
Yeah, fuck Oddshot in a nutshell. That's it, right? Like, if I'm trying to build a YouTube channel, I need those fucking stream highlights. I need those clips. I need to post them on my own platforms that I can monetize. Yep. And what Oddshot does is it lets plebs basically rehost my content, like, before I can put it on YouTube or wherever I put it. And then social media picks up that Oddshot clip because it's the first one out, so they get all the traffic, all the upvotes. And then when I do make my own highlight a few hours later, I don't get that same traffic.
Or just the VOD, or like of a show, like this show, for instance. If somebody makes an Oddshot clip of it, then who's going to watch the VOD? That might have watched it before.
The conversation in a nutshell is like, yes, Twitch should have a better highlight system. They don't, so let's ignore that. Let's just like fuck Oddshot, man. Why is it allowed to exist? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, not one piece of content on their website do they own.
Or is original, right?
I find it just incredible, really, that the sort of Oddshots have been allowed to get so popular without anyone addressing it. And if I didn't know better, I mean, it seems to me that Twitch are almost sort of complicit in its success.
No. I don't think we can blame Twitch for this. This isn't a Twitch problem. I'm not blaming. I'm not. Well, you just said that Twitch was complicit in it. Like,
that's
Twitch
not
is just here
for it. Saying they're complicit in it isn't blaming them for it. How is it?
No, because Twitch has nothing to do with this. All Twitch does is host video. All Twitch does is host video. Like, this isn't a Twitch issue at all. They don't have to be.
Okay, so let me give you an example. I don't know if you remember back in League of Legends, Twitch were very adamant about a certain issue called Spectate Faker, where somebody was...
Okay, but that was because that was being hosted on...
Let him finish. Let me finish.
My good friend Steven. Try not to anticipate the reckoning so much. Come on. All right. So if Twitch were so adamant about protecting people's copyright as they were with the Spectate Faker issue, where they withdrew someone's stream on the basis that Riot Games didn't like it, they weren't even the streamed individual. They claimed to own the gameplay because they were the game's developer. And they took this guy's stream down, didn't explain to him why, other than that it was unacceptable content, I believe is what they emailed to him. And they stood shoulder to shoulder with their good friends at Riot about it. Why is it they were willing to protect that individual's copyright, i.e. the player who was being streamed without their knowledge or consent, or Riot Games' copyright, which is their game, their gameplay, which they don't seem to mind in any other instance, just this one. and yet they allow their API to be utilized by a company whose sole purpose is to take people's copyrighted material and monetize it for their own gain. I'm pretty sure Twitch could shut this down immediately by a simple alteration of the API.
Email.
I mean, even if you didn't have,
action.
Twitch isn't going to threaten legal action on behalf of you. Twitch doesn't own any of the content. When you sign your contract with Twitch, no, they don't. Well, you own all of your content that's hosted on Twitch. I could take down everything I wanted to from Twitch, and they couldn't do anything with it because it's part of the contract when you sign it. Twitch doesn't own your contract. Twitch isn't going to file a DMCA on behalf of you. It's your stuff. The reason why they interacted in the Faker stuff. Now, if that stream was being restreamed to YouTube, Twitch would have said fuck all about it. Twitch couldn't have done anything. The reason why this isn't an issue that Twitch has to deal with is because they're stealing content from, or taking whatever you want to say. They're stealing content from a content creator, and then they're putting it on a different video host. Twitch can't do anything about Oddshot. They modify the APIs. I mean, they could gimp all of their shit that would fuck up a whole bunch of other servers. But to be honest, I don't even know what API access you need from this. Like, there are plenty. Right now, you can Google download Twitch stream, and you could come up with all these different sites. Download.twitchapps.com. You could download all these different things. Or all these different tools, twitchtools.com, that will download videos from the site.
Or you don't even have to use modified so they don't work.
Okay, sure, but I mean, you could even use sites that there are plugins for Chrome, and I'm sure Firefox as well, that will allow you to download Flash video directly from a site. Like, there's, as long as Twitch is a video host, there's always going to be ways to download that video. You can download videos from YouTube. Like, this isn't a problem
that's difficult for people.
But then what you end up worrying about is like how much functionality then are you willing to gimp by like other apps?
Are we really having this conversation? Twitch and functionality? Are we really having this conversation?
Well, yeah, but now we're talking about restricting it even further. Like, I don't like what I mean. I agree that something needs to be done with Oddshot. Like, I'm not trying to defend Oddshot. I'm just saying that I don't think that Twitch is the party that has to police this. Like, whether it's mass DMCAs from other people or what. But I mean, like, it's already hard enough to fucking get video off of Twitch onto fucking YouTube, or to edit or modify anything. I got, like, all of that shit is a nightmare. Like, I can't even imagine if they were to start to, like, intentionally gimp their shit to make it harder for other people to do it. Like, how fucked their content creators going to be trying to pull their content off of like Twitch to put it on YouTube or whatever. Like,
well, number one, they need to make their own platform that does what Oddshot does better. They just need to make their whole highlight shit better for exporting to YouTube. I mean, I'm sure it's obviously on the list.
And that we can monetize like much better too. I mean, it's
one of the most attractive things about YouTube streaming is the access to YouTube. I agree. Like, the Twitch process is really fucking bad.
Yeah, but let's not even have a debate about the technical aspects of it, because I feel like what we're doing here is this again is like the Spectate Faker issue when everyone was talking about the morality of it. The morality of it's irrelevant. The technical aspects of it are irrelevant. This is a legal issue. This is about copyright, and your right to own and monetize your own material, which is being taken away from you by a third-party program. Which I don't believe for 1 second they're doing it altruistically. I'm pretty sure they monetize all the traffic that goes to their website, right? I'm pretty sure they have something in place so they actually see a return from it.
Well, of course. So, and you know, the reasoning, or at least the kind of, I don't want to say excuse, but what they say is basically that, you know, you're allowed to, I guess, so you're automatically opt into this, right? It's not like it's some kind of thing in Twitch where you can just opt out to it. No, it's like basically, unless you go and tell them that you want to opt out of this, or I don't know how you do it at this point, outside of just contacting them, then they said, okay, then I guess they won't post any of those videos. A month ago, did this. Like, I emailed them and asked them to do that because I DMCA, just sent a DMCA email. But on top of that, I told them, hey, like, basically nothing, like, I don't want any videos, from my Twitch stream to show up on Oddshot TV. And they said they can't do that. They can't do that, at least technically, on their side yet. But they're trying to, they're a small company and they're building up and they're trying to make that feature available. So they said, yeah, you're gonna have to basically send a DMCA every single time somebody does this to take it down. And like Andre was talking about, Reynad was talking about, by that time it takes however many hours to have that done. It whatever views you're gonna get for that VOD or that highlight or that clip is already gone, right? The majority of those views are already gone by that time, and they're essentially just going straight to Oddshot TV, and there's nothing that us content creators get from that. So there's an issue with like the reasoning they're giving, the reasoning that they're too small, like they're just a small company and they don't have all these like policies and even functionality built in or even monetization built in. Then it's like, why are you even doing this in the first place? Like you shouldn't be doing this until like those things are ready to go. And if you want to become like a content aggregator and have like basically your own content creators that are monetizing, like us monetizing on your site, then you should have that stuff ready before you're like, before you're launched and basically doing this.
Well, clearly they don't think it through that far ahead, right? It's just a programmer. He wants to dick around with Twitch API and make a nice interface. That's his goal, right? So now this is step one, right? This is stage one of the solution. Is you start a PR shitstorm, get people actually talking about a platform that we only really talked about amongst ourselves before. So right, you make the community like actually talk about Oddshot. Everyone's on the whole fuck Oddshot train, and eventually they do something. Maybe they add an opt-out feature where I can just like download Oddshot and just be like, hey, don't take videos from /Reynad27, and then it just won't work on my channel. Like a little feature like that even would be like step one. And in the meantime, once that feature is implemented, then Twitch gets its shit together and makes something better. And then we don't, we don't have to worry about.
Well, that's the global solution. It's just having, something that's better and that's more conducive for us. But in the meantime, it's I feel like it's good for us to let the communities know that that really sucks for us. It makes me want to post my VODs like super. I post my VODs super fast for you guys to be able to watch it as fast as you can.
That you have to argue with these people. This fucking honestly, esports people are so logically inconsistent, right? And I've been here before. I remember when a website that I used to work for used a photograph without express permission on the basis that it would be covered by fair use. Copyright law on the internet, and the photographer came out and very publicly castigated for the publication using it, even though it wasn't me who had used it, and said it had to be taken down immediately because it was theft. And I said, well, what theft has occurred if you just tell me what photo you want to remove? And they were clearly more interested in generating drama. Now, actually, everybody waded in. I mean, even Idra waded in and talked about how dare I steal from the poor little photographer. How dare I, the man, steal from that individual? And it wasn't about the fact that I was disrespecting their copyright. Obviously, the picture was always going to get removed. But how is it the same community would say, hey, man, Oddshot's just there. It's just fair use. Nothing to worry about, bro. It's just somebody taking a clip from your stream, your gameplay, your image, your intellectual property and putting it on YouTube to monetize it for themselves. What's the problem, bro? How can the fucking same community be against one thing that's not even as bad and be for? It blows my fucking mind. It literally blows my mind. People can be this ridiculous. I don't even see where the argument is. Like how anybody can make a case for Oddshot.
So I can explain this, okay? This is one of those scenarios where I think everybody involved is very well-intentioned, but it's just kind of fucking some people over. So, like, here's the problem. The problem is you see a funny highlight on Reynad's stream where he gets fucked by RNG, and it's really funny. You want to share it with somebody, but because Reynad is streaming, and because after you stream, like, not everybody wants to, like, cut their stream and then immediately go and fucking watch their shit and start cutting up VODs and shit and they're going to YouTube. And sometimes you might be streaming for 5 hours afterwards. What?
I mean, they do it immediately. Like I remember,
who does
the value. No, they can post that. I remember last.
Wait, who's they?
On
Oddshot.
On Oddshot.
So that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you have these people that want to share these clips or show these funny moments or whatever. So instead of trying to go into a Twitch VOD, find the time, and then link the time, and then fuck Twitch VODs, that shit doesn't load half the fucking time anyway. You have a program like Oddshot that just loads it up for you. And it's like, yo, there is this really funny moment on fucking Reynad stream. This is hilarious as fuck. Like, here's the link. Like, this is cool. It's on Oddshot. It's loaded instantly or whatever. The thing is, Oddshot provides, like, one of the best things that this has shown is that Oddshot is providing a very much needed service / functionality right now that just doesn't exist. Sure. The ability to instantaneously take a funny clip from a stream and then show it to somebody else is something that you can't do on Twitch right now, and it's a service that's needed. It can be profitable, right? Oddshot generates a fuck ton of traffic, and like Reynad said, I think the guy even said that they're trying to get the mobile shit working so that they can get a stable platform and then either monetize or sell it to somebody who can monetize it, right? Oddshot is a necessary service. People want it because people are using it, and it's very fucking popular. And fans want that ability to do that with streams. They want to be able to take a clip from a stream and then show it to somebody instantly. And this is something that doesn't exist on Twitch at the moment. So like, I mean, I understand all the sides from it. I think make pretty clear sense. If you see a stream, you want to share something quickly. The problem is that content creators obviously kind of get fucked from the revenue out of it. Well, not, I mean, they very obviously get fucked from the revenue out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's no good alternative to like instantly putting a clip up on YouTube unless you were to like hire somebody to like shadow your stream for 8 hours a day and then cut the content up as it's happening or whatever.
That's the problem, isn't it? I mean, you're talking about if Twitch had some sort of functionality. Well, I still fail to see how that would solve the issue.
Well, if like YouTube, I think you can do it. Like the nice thing about I think YouTube had it set up so that like you could literally like go back and cut out like a 4-minute clip like right after it happened. Like if some funny shit happened.
This is my point though, Steven.
On the dashboard,
YouTube
you could do it.
and Twitch are competitors. If YouTube did invent a function that you could instantly upload a Twitch stream piece of footage instantly to YouTube in the way Oddshot does, Twitch would shut that down straight away.
Wait, what?
What do you mean, what?
Wait, what?
Right.
Twitch
I mean, if Twitch made an feature,
let's say Oddshot TV wasn't called Oddshot TV. Let's say it was called Ushot TV, and it was owned by YouTube, right? And or Google rather, and it could take Twitch footage and automatically upload it to YouTube in much the same way people can do with Oddshot. Let's say that functionality existed and it was owned by Google. I guarantee you, Twitch would do something about it because they're direct competitors.
I mean, it depends on how all the patenting shit works, right? And on the tech, I don't know.
Somebody
in my chat just put up a brilliant solution. There's a very, very easy way to solve this shit. Why not make Oddshot TV, upload to the content creator's YouTube, and while it's converting, it's available from Oddshot and switches to YouTube after. Something like that might work. Or like, or even just make it so that the Oddshot just instantly uploads to that person's YouTube, but they would need access to the YouTube, and then has it viewable immediately. I don't know. I mean, like the main problem here is like Twitch needs this functionality and it doesn't exist, and everybody wants it. Like it's desired so much so that a third-party program was able to step in and start generating huge views on this. Like, right? I think that's like the big thing that Twitch needs to figure out a way to get this done, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it shot up on their priority list since they saw Oddshot's success, and it will happen at some point. And once the Twitch version of it is available, I think people will use just the Twitch version instead of Oddshot.
Yeah,
I guess.
But in the meantime,
it kind of seems like that's turning into like the league replay system, though, where it's like it's coming. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it will. Like Twitch actually does things, right? It's one of the most. It's a good company. Anyway, they'll. Well, before that feature's out, right? In this meantime, where Oddshot is running rampant, fucking all our YouTube channels, it would just be fantastic if, as a community, we were loud enough to the point where they would implement a feature that would allow us to opt out, like actually opt out. Because I've emailed them before about this, and they emailed me back. All they said was, "Oh, we're currently working on implementing ways for content creators to monetize on our platform, but right now we're just focused on growing the website since we're."
That's exactly what they sent me to.
They gave me the same fucking email.
It's unacceptable. And they say, "Oh, we link back to your Twitch channel." It's like that fucking doesn't do anything for me. I mean, that doesn't do anything at all. Yeah. So, yeah.
Anyway, in the meantime, I hope Oddshot implements that feature, and I hope that if they don't, the community is adequately pissed off with them. I know that in 3 days, the next thing will come along, and people will forget about this. But in the future, like when you see an Oddshot link, you know, I hope people like think Parasite in their mind, you know, and are like turned off.
Don't upvote that.
I mean,
at the very least, like some kind of rev share would make it more palatable, what, like edible,
palatable.
Yeah, I think that pleasant to taste, palatable. Yeah, I think that like some kind of like rev share would split, because I don't know that like similar things exist. Like in the StarCraft 2 world, you have that SC2 highlights, like that channel exists and they get a lot of views and shit. But they went and they seeked arrangements with every single content creator that they
they also only do events too, and like.
Really?
I mean, for the most part, right? Like for the most, I don't
remember if I've seen stuff from streams or whatever.
I don't remember anything from streams.
But regardless of whatever they do, they always get permission.
Right. So
it's and it's not even just. I don't even think it's just that. Looking at their thing now, but Yeah, I mean, like, you can't, like, the whole opt-out shit. Even, I guess if you could opt out of, like, everything, then maybe it would be okay. But, like, this whole idea that, like, you need to go DMCA, like, every individual video, like,
that's
it's
crazy.
Just not, yeah, it's like,
it's crazy.
Like, everybody in this community knows, like, this kind of content is consumed in, like, less than 6 fucking hours. Like, if you wake up one day and you see that you've got an Oddshot video, like, fucking rank 1 in a big subreddit, like, Hearthstone League, Dota 2 CSGO, like, that's fucking 50 to 150,000 views that are just gone.
Oh, I forgot to mention.
DMCA it and then put it back on, but it's like, you're fucked.
I forgot to mention, too, that not only does Oddshot have, their video on their site, there was actually an Oddshot bot in YouTube that would create a YouTube video too.
Yeah,
it's like
it's pretty funny. You get fucked like by two different holes at the same time. You didn't even know you had 2 different places.
And then the Oddshot bot
fucked twice.
And then the Oddshot bot posts something in that Reddit thread to be a YouTube mirror.
Yep.
So it's just like, oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, here's this was introduced into Twitch in 2013. But for some reason it got scrapped. I don't know why.
A lot of people are suggesting the DMCA. How much fucking time do you think we have in our lives?
Guys, again, I've done that. I've gone through that process.
Not only that, but you have to.
We shouldn't have to.
Well, no, it'll work. But I mean, the problem is, I think. Why didn't
work.
they have to? They have to respond to it.
They do, but it's like hours after the Reddit.
Oh yeah. And then the problem too is I think you have to DMCA like every single individual piece of content.
Yeah,
too.
you do.
Yep.
You do.
Yeah. So it's not about, and you've already lost the initial money. Like you can't DMCA content after. It's like you're already fucked at that point.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. So even if you DMCA it and have it removed, you've already lost the money anyway. It becomes a pointless endeavor, and that's what they're banking on. And in fact, they deliberately stall it out. I don't know. It seems that's not going to be the answer. What you would need to do is, like Reynad's saying, is you need to have something up front where it's just like either a whitelist or whatever it is, where if you want people, like let's say for example you're an event like DreamHack and you want odd shots on the front page of a subreddit because you don't have a YouTube channel, you're not going to directly monetize any of the highlights. Brilliant. Okay, fine. By all means, opt into that service and have that there. But for content creators that rely on a dual revenue stream of Twitch and YouTube, you've got to be able to protect yourself. There has to be a plugin or something you can put in place that stops Oddshot just ripping your content. That's got to come.
Okay, well, enough Oddshot. Let's move on. We've got Riot Lab Rats. Oh yeah. Okay, so Richard wrote an article recently that that pertains to our favorite subject on Unfiltered, Mr. Riot Light, and Richard, why don't you talk about the article? You do better than I would.
Yeah, so basically all it was we people will remember the story. I know you do, Stephen, about those surveys that were handed out to League of Legends players after they had an enforced name change. Basically, the questions in these surveys, which I've got to hand here, include things like...
have you ever been mad in the past 10 days?
No, it was how many times in the past week does this apply to you? I slapped or kicked someone. And you have the choice of 0 to 6 times. Obviously, you're a parent. So
actually, Andre, did you see that player survey? Reynad, did you ever see that? Yeah, there's this actual survey.
I'll just link it in the group chat for you, Reynad, in case you're interested.
Sure.
But anyway, and so quite ridiculous questions. These were basically a modified version of the narcissistic personality inventory and the aggression scale, the measure of aggressive behavior in young adolescents. And these were being rolled out, and nobody really knew why or where this had come from. Now, there was a scientific study released on November the 12th, which it was penned by Jeffrey Lynn, that's Light. And basically what it said was that they'd done a bunch of name changes and monitored people's behavior, and they arrived at such startling Nobel Prize-winning conclusions, such as if you're younger, you're more likely to act immature. I mean, who knew that one? If you have an offensive name, you're more likely to be offensive in-game. I mean, this is... I was blown away, obviously, reading this study by just how incredible it was. And, yeah, so basically what the worrying part of the study was, it said at the end, it is intriguing that they concluded that if you misbehave and trash talking game or behave toxically, it's worth looking at whether you have other real life problems. And it said, for example, it is intriguing to ask if other clinical psychiatric disorders such as autism, sociopathy, or addictive personality traits might be evident in these types of data. And the final line in the report was, we are currently investigating the possibility that reinforcing altruistic strategies within a game environment condition players to modify, within a game environment condition will make players modify antisocial behavior in their day-to-day life. So basically what's going on is that Riot Games are treating their player base like lab rats for experiments such as these. And apparently they say it's all covered by the terms of service, and you agree to be used in such research by playing the game. Which I thought was
yeah, definitely interesting. I mean, I don't think any other game does any kind of surveys or any kind of psychological analysis, at least to this extent. I mean, there obviously are some behavioral type of analysis that goes on in terms of monetization, right? Like all of that is basically a psychological thing, like how to monetize people, but not really in this sense, right?
I bet the Valve and Blizzard do it. I'd be surprised if they don't. So? It's 2015, man. Everyone data mines.
Yeah, they data
all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, I think I don't mind. Say, for example, using data to, I don't know, affect in-game things. Like, for example, how well does low priority queue work in Dota? When the new skins are announced, in CSGO, how many people are going to buy it? Yeah. These kind of things I think are reasonable within the remit of a business. I think basically when you try and mask the fact that your game is ultimately a conduit for one person's psychological experiments, I think when that starts happening, that's when I find it problematic, especially when I read things like, hey, perhaps we could do things in-game and it would modify their antisocial behavior in everyday life, which it's all presumed. I mean, they don't know anything about these individuals. This was all mined anonymously. And yet with a sample size of just over 2,000 people, they're making these great leaps about that these people who behave toxically in-game must have something wrong with them.
It seems to originate from his, it's Riot Light's crusade to basically correct, this toxic behavior that we see, right, in chat in League of Legends. And most games, all they do is add a mute button, or a ban button or something, and that's it. You don't have to listen to the person anymore. But I think Riot Light wants to literally go on this crusade to correct what is commonly known as gaming toxicity, especially in League of Legends.
Well,
right?
It's just trash talk, and as Light said himself multiple times, again, this is a direct quote from his Ask FM. We consider the mute feature to be a last resort. When a player has to use the mute feature, the damage has already been done. Well, what damage? What presumed damage from being called trash? Like, what lasting damage does that do? Okay, he's a bit of an asshole. Gonna press mute and you just get on with your game. I mean, that's
exactly.
Do these kids come away from League of Legends and immediately start self-harming because someone said they were garbage? Are we presuming that this is the norm? Because if we are, then well, first of all, I would dispute that, and second of all, if it was true, I fear for that generation. Like that is not a generation that's ever going to be able to exist in a normal society. It just seems so stupid.
Well, anyways, you guys can take a look at this article and I guess let us know what you guys
Steven's
think.
been quiet about this, by the way.
That's true. He has been.
What am I supposed to say? I mean, I kind of agree. I think that no, I don't know. I mean, everybody has a different approach to it. I don't know, dude. I can't believe that Valve got rid of the I can't believe you can't talk to people in pre, post, or mid-game or halftime in CSGO anymore. It's kind of spooky.
That was the best thing about CSGO.
You annoying fucks. One thing I will say is that I kind of I don't know if I agree with this whole the damage has already been done shit, but the mute button in general, mute is a worthless feature in every form of live communication on the internet. I've noticed that in moderating my own little TeamSpeak, mute doesn't really work. You can't have some people that have muted some people in in any kind of active chat, because everything just turns to fucking shit really fast. Someone will talk and not everyone will hear it, and people will respond to somebody that other people have muted. That shit's pretty fucked, but. Yeah, I don't know. I do think it's kind of, I don't know, the whole league, massive babying of everybody is also, a little bit ridiculous. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, we're kind of running a little short on time. Let's take like a couple questions and then we'll call it a show. Those of you that have any questions, go ahead and tweet it to @ChanManV, or you can post it here in the comments for the ChanManV.tv site. This thread right here. We've got one question from Michael Dang Peterson. He says, Reynad was very critical on esports journalism a few days ago on his stream. Daily Dot had posted an article about Tempo Storm and their intentions to pick up a TF2 team for the upcoming game Overwatch. But the writer of the article didn't include any interviews or statements from the organization. Reynad went on a rant about the Daily Dot and said there was no legit esports writers or journalists in this industry. Okay, this is great. And Richard have many times talked about the problems releasing the article without any statements from the organization or players, Team Liquid, NIP, Crepo, to mention a few. Since you got both of them on the show, can we please have a discussion about the problems in esports journalism from a team owner and from an esports journalist, former Daily Dot writer view? All right. Reynad, why don't you start?
Mine's really short. Yeah, I'll just start off. A lot of times people write about my org. We're not that big of a deal, right? It's a pretty small team, but a lot of times, basically, players talk amongst other players on other teams. That's just how the industry works. And sometimes there will be some like team manager on a tier 3 fucking team in whatever game that overhears something, and he'll create this narrative in his mind and spew it all to some journalist, and they'll publish that as fact without cross-referencing facts, getting statements, verifying anything that was or wasn't said. And when esports journalism is done in that way by some unqualified like 20-year-old dipshit, I think it's really damaging to my brand, and it's just damaging to the integrity of esports journalism overall, and fuck Daily Dot. But when people do esports journalism the right way with journalistic integrity and just a sense of professionalism, it should be a really healthy, thriving part of the industry. And as we become more developed in every area, it'll get better, I imagine. But for now, I just want to reiterate, fuck Daily Dot. So that's my.
If we could do a thought exercise, if you'd indulge me, what would happen if that same journalist that was about to leak something you would rather wasn't leaked, came to you and said, hey, I've got this information, I've cross-referenced it, there's multiple people here, I just wanted to know if it's true. Would you tell them the truth?
Yep. But I will tell you that I'm the exception in that rule, and everyone would answer yes to that question. It's
so even if it was bad for business potentially, and you were going to lose a big announcement, you would willingly give a journalist a statement. Because if that's true, then you have to understand your fellow, your colleagues and team owners. They've done you the disservice of creating the climate in which esports journalism is conducted in this way. Where typically, if you go to an organization with a leak, what they will do is they will lie to your face about it, and then rush out their own announcement, which I guess is their, that's their prerogative, and that's why people feel a bit cagey about even coming and openly asking for it. Equally, the other thing that'll happen is owners and players, they'll take to social media, and they've got way more fans than journalists. Obviously, that's the hierarchy. That's how it has to work. And they will basically again castigate the journalist, say the journalist is a liar, ridicule the journalist, stir up their fan base to harass and harangue the journalist in question. And then, of course, 3-4 days later, when the journalist is proven right, nobody says, wow, that player's or that owner is a lying piece of shit, and did something horrible and reprehensible to someone else. Nobody ever holds them accountable. And in fact, if you look at Team Liquid as a good example of this, they lie time and time and time again. They are one of the worst offenders. And yet everybody, every time there's something new happening in Team Liquid, everybody comes out and says, don't believe the journalists. When in fact, it's Team Liquid that have done nothing to gain any trust from the community. So I think if you are the exception, Reynad, then you have to look not to the journalists, but look to your fellow team owners and players that treat journalists in this reprehensible way.
Do you remember the huge drama? This was so many years ago with fucking Slasher and EG with a Jadong announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Holy shit!
That wasn't that long ago. It's like a year ago.
That was like, was it a year ago? What? I thought that was maybe, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Maybe a year and a half ago. Yeah, maybe something like that. Is it more than that?
No,
is it 2 years ago?
This is almost Maybe 2 years ago. 3 years ago. December 6th, December 6, 2012. Yeah, this was like 3 years ago.
3 years ago? Holy shit, man! I can't believe it's been that long.
Time flies when you're having fun, Jam.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, so I'm
with you. Like I'll say that as a journalist, if I get how it would be so shitty to like be attacked for publishing accurate information. But I'm not talking about accurate information. Sometimes these journalists are just bad at what they do, and they publish things that are blatantly incorrect. And this is a very small thing, right? They said, oh, Tempestrim's approaching TF2 teams, which is like, fine, you can publish that. It's not a big deal. But they said we were speaking to teams that we had never even known existed. And it's like, when you don't do something simple, like even asking the team that was allegedly approached, hey, were you guys approached by Tempo? Like, when you don't do little steps like that, then you got to understand the frustration from my side. But yes, if you publish something that is 100% accurate and it reflects poorly on an org, that's not the kind of journalism I would shit on, right? If I do something shitty, or if somebody is going to leak something that I don't want leaked, they're doing their job. I respect that if they're publishing accurate information and they did their research. But when they're just like posting like rumors from somebody who like overheard a third of a conversation that like, and then just extrapolate so much and publish it as fact, and that's just, you have to agree with me, like bad journalism is just bad for everybody.
Well, I definitely would, but here's the thing. I think actually there's way more good journalism, overwhelmingly so, and yet it gets categorized as bad because it's not good for business. I see this all the time, for example, again, we'll talk about Team Liquid. And we'll talk about some of the lengths that they've gone to. Well, Jacob Wolf, for example, keep in mind as well, journalists are always going to get something wrong. If you want information to be put out into the public domain that people would rather you didn't, there's smoke and mirrors. Things can change at the last minute. I think I published like maybe 1 or 2 stories that turned out not to be true. It's going to happen to everybody. It doesn't even mean you haven't followed journalistic process. It just means something could have changed, your sources weren't accurate, but all the information you had to hand was accurate, and your editor's seen it as well. There's an editorial process there. So, but anyway, Jacob Wolf, I think, got something wrong about Piglet, and it was all Piglet leaving Team Liquid in League of Legends, and it was all accurate and verified. And even privately, the organization had admitted, yeah, actually, we were talking about him leaving, and we had talks for freeze, and those talks had fallen through at the very last second, at the 11th hour, and of course, the report goes out, and then Team Liquid are just going in and in and in and in and in on him. They just will not let up. And then you have the guys over at Esports Express who decide, in their infinite wisdom, that in the same week, I think that the former co-owner of NIP is facing jail time for accountancy fraud. They decide, and MTG are looking to buy DreamHack and all these other big things that are ripe for satire. They then decide that, hey, what we need to do is write about Jacob Wolf and why he's leaving the Daily Dot. So this is a 20-year-old kid who's just moved, under a lot of pressure in what he does, and he's just getting harassed and harangued. And then you look at the ties, and you're like, oh, okay, well, something like 5 of the Esports Express writers have held a position within Team Liquid at some point. Is this fair? Obviously, it isn't. Is it fair that a publication that should be used for satire is effectively being used for some form of I'm loath to use the term bullying, but it's basically part of a machinery to push back against journalists who are simply trying to do their job, and more often than not, are doing it for the positives and the betterment of the industry. Right.
Okay, next question here. Yannick Mokwin. What if subreddits just wouldn't allow these oddshot posts? Because that's how these video spreads and gets views. I think...
Sometimes it's Twitter, sometimes it's Facebook. Yeah. There's a lot of places you can link oddshot stuff.
Yeah, the problem, it's not really the subreddit's job, I guess, to kind of look there. Because if it wasn't Oddshot, then another service would pop up with access to Reddit, and Reynad said, this can spread through Twitter, Facebook, and everything else. You're gonna have to go for the source or figure out, something there.
Yeah. To his point, though, I think some subreddits are pulling those posts. I think League of Legends doesn't allow Oddshot posts, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. And Hearthstone.
But you don't want to model yourself after that crazy fucking subreddit.
Exactly. All right. Okay, so Unfiltered here. So Makni Bogdan, please talk about streamers criticizing Oddshot and how it looks in the light of being sponsored by G2A or playing copyright music.
What does that mean?
Wait, what was the question? Say that again.
Please talk how streamers criticizing, or I mean, I guess his English is not great, but how streamers can, I guess he's saying can criticize Oddshot.
Okay. This is a totally different conversation. If you want to have a conversation about whether or not like you should be allowed to use music as part of your stream, that's a totally legit conversation with totally legit points on both sides. But to say that somebody's a hypocrite because they have a problem with a site that's literally lifting 100% of their content to generate all of their traffic versus somebody that uses a song in a background as part of a stream, they aren't even remotely similar. If you think they are, you should probably just fucking kill yourself because you're too stupid to ever have like a serious conversation like related to anything having to do with like copyright or anything.
Or write a grammatically correct sentence, please.
Yeah, like I said, like you can have a conversation whether or not you should be able to use music, sure, but to say that using a song in a background is the same thing as literally lifting 100% of somebody's content is like even close to the same thing, they're totally fucking different. Not even close.
Yep, agreed.
Not even close.
Massier Spraka asks, Kenny S got his account hacked last night and his skins got stolen from him. Valve restored his account after a few hours and brought all his skins back. If it was a regular player, he would be told that he didn't use Steam Guard. It's his own fault and they will not restore his account. Do you guys think special treatment for pros is fair when regular players are getting screwed because in the past some kids duped a few items?
I don't think any of us know the individual facts about it, and nobody but Kenny S would know what sort of
like how basically he lost.
Why is somebody getting a privilege or perk that I experience? This just smacks of another with no facts available to them. So it just seems fairly ridiculous to me to even discuss it.
Okay, let's see. Question for Reynad. Where was it? Oh, how do you look? This is from PogChimp on Twitter. How do you go about looking for players for your teams? My friend is trying to make a name for himself in the CSGO scene.
Well, CSGO scene, I mean, start in fucking intermediate, work your way up. The way I look for players is like top down, what's the best team in the world? Okay, they're sponsored by this team. What's the second best team? What's the third best team? And then by the time I get to like the fifth or sixth best team, if those guys don't impress me, then I'll look at really like talent that's like not
picked up,
looked at yet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot. It's a long process, man. I get advice from a lot of people that know their shit in the industry. Sometimes I try to grow a roster from the ground up. When we were in CSGO for a little time, it's kind of what we tried to do. That went okay. I mean, they eventually took a map off Navi at the end of it. That's pretty good for an NA team. It's the closest thing to LAN relevance we're gonna have. So I don't know, man. It's the way I do it basically for any game is I'll try to get the best possible free agent, unless the best possible free agent is not somebody that has potential to be the best. Like I'll never pick up somebody that's always going to be the fourth best. I'd rather take the guy that's like currently the 15th best, but shows promise. And it's really hard to quantify like the qualities that kind of player has. But a lot of it is work ethic. A lot of it is just marketability sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's just they have to have like the right head on their shoulders. And it's a lot of different characteristics that you start to notice after a while in top caliber players.
In terms of games, how did the CS? I guess which games or like compare CS:GO to League of Legends from the standpoint of salaries? How crazy is it right now? Like, or comparing the two?
Like the contract buyouts, like everything outside of the player stuff is probably more expensive in League than anywhere else. Mm-hmm. But like contract buyouts, that kind of stuff, the salaries are higher in League, even including the Riot subsidies. If you're talking like top 4 teams. But it's very feast or famine, right? It'll be like well into 5 figures for top tier players, and then like 4 figures for lower tier LCS players. Mm-hmm. In CS:GO, I mean the highest numbers I've heard for world class players are like I don't even know if I should say specific numbers, but well into the 5 figures per month.
Per month, okay.
Yeah, and then most players are NA players, 4 figures. There's a huge spread, is what I'm saying. Just like every other industry, everything else in the world, anything at all, it's very top heavy, right? It's like the top 1% is making like 10 times what the next tier below is making. But that's how the universe operates, basically. Like if you're somebody with that kind of money to throw around, you're not gonna be looking for the 5th best player. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I think oh, actually, last question from Granis. When will Reynad sign Destiny as a StarCraft 2 player?
Fuck off.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't heard of that game.
Oh no. Ouch.
So here's so here we go. Here's the hard-hitting question. Reynad,
what?
How do you feel about G2A? Let's do it.
Oh, okay.
Well, G2A, this is the thing, like as far as the allegations against them and the way their business operates, I don't know shit. I know that a lot of companies get shit talked for being shady. A lot of times I'm the one calling out companies on being shady. I haven't seen any of that from G2A. When I buy games, sometimes I'll use them. I haven't had problems with it yet, and I don't know where the keys come from and all of that, right? I haven't done my research, so I don't feel qualified speaking for or against them. I will say that G2A is the first company in a long time that came in 2015 and paid people what they're fucking worth. Mm-hmm. And that's the reason we've had so many player-run events, so many player-run teams. If you think like Ocelot and fucking like just the reason that like guys like me can afford to salary people who otherwise wouldn't have a job in esports, that's where the money comes from in a lot of cases. So I think that there's a lot of good that comes with it. I don't know the specifics of the bad because, again, I'm not a developer. I don't know where the keys. I don't know the whole process, right? I'm sure it's a very complicated fucking business. I'm sure they started as reselling Polish keys at discounted prices or something, but I don't fucking know. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not qualified to talk about the negatives at all because I actually don't know. It's not that I'm against talking about them, but they do a lot of good in esports that's overlooked in the face of let's shit talk this shady company,
Agreed. Okay, well, let's wrap things up. I think we've kind of gone over just a little bit, but great show. It was awesome having you on, Reynad, on
thanks for having me, man.
My other show. For those of you who don't know, Reynad's on Value Town with me for the most part each and every week. So you can see us tomorrow, actually. But you want to do any shout-outs?
Well, as we mentioned, G2A, just in case chat wasn't familiar with that website, it's a fantastic place to get games at discounted prices where you can save even more money using the code TEMPO. Speaking of code TEMPO, ChanMan, I actually managed to save myself 15% on a wonderful pair of space shorts over at store.tempostorm.com using that code just yesterday. And they are
nice.
They're very form-fitting and comfortable. Shout out to Twitch, the wonderful platform upon which we're broadcasting right now. And one sec. This is Fnatic Gear, which just went live. Shout out to them.
Fnatic, yes. Oh, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. We got to talk about that next week. Just this whole Fnatic Gear thing. Richard, want to do some shout outs?
Obviously, shout out to you for hosting the show. Shout out to all the people in chat. Shout out to Stephen for being a great co-host as always. And big shout out to Reynad for coming on. It's very nice to meet you, and hope you'll come on the show again. And because I've been told to say this, a shout out to Magic Amy. May she rest in peace. There we go.
Great. Steven, shout out.
Shout out to all my wonderful people for watching. Shout out to Blizzard for making great games like StarCraft that I'm going to be playing tonight. Shout out to Reynard for coming on and hanging out with us, and Richard Lewis for martyring himself and being a wonderful co-host. And shout out to ChanMan for lying to me like the piece of shit he is about the origin of your name. You said your name meant the 5th. I know you fucking said this.
I know. I said the V meant 5. That's all I. That's yeah.
When I ask you, like, I'm pretty sure I specifically asked you, like, does the V mean like the 5th or like 5? And you're like, yeah.
I said
what
the
V.
What
the fuck did you think was I talking about?
Talking about ChanMan. ChanMan 5. Yes. Originally, it was supposed to mean 5, but everybody uses V.
Like, what does ChanMan 5 mean? Is this like Johnny 5? Is it like the fucking Asian version of the fucking robot?
5. Oh my. No, there were like 4 other ChanMans back in Warcraft 2. So I was like,
you were the 5th one.
Yeah, exactly. That's seriously, that's the reason.
Yeah, it's round about that point. I'm probably questioning my name. Like, should I pick another one? There's like 4 other dudes with the same name.
Like, I didn't even look and see how many Destinies there were first. Fuck, should I be like Destiny 27? Like, holy shit.
Yeah, man, there are 26 other Reynads.
No, I believe there's not 26 other Reynads. I'd be really, really surprised. Oh, one last thing too. I forgot. Oh, well. Actually,
shout out to the Patreon. Yeah, make sure you guys support that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, definitely.
Well, they should. Chris makes a lot of good content. If you like the show, support it.
If you like the show, put it on Oddshot. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, asshole. Oh, one last. I forgot to mention the t-shirts too. I think I said I was going to put those, just start the campaign this week, but we've had an issue with the whole number of colors on the shirt, and they only limit it to 10, I think, for your first campaign. So I need to actually figure that out with them.
Because we can if you contact the guys like personally, like they'll make an exception.
I might have to have you help out with that, Steven, because I've been trying, and it's like our design has more than 10 colors, and. So I'm working on that. Once that's done, then I'll let you guys know about the campaign. But it's going to be the design that you guys saw last week, so it's not going to change. But yeah, for my shout outs, big shout out to 3 of you guys. Obviously, Andre for coming on here. I think everybody's been looking forward to you to come in on Unfiltered for a while, so I'm happy that we were able to finally do it. Richard, Steven, obviously always amazing to do shows with you each and every week, and today was no different. And then for all you people that are watching today, just all the viewers, Unfiltered viewers, you guys are awesome. Hope you guys continue to watch the show. The VODs will be up on youtube.com/ChanManV. Part 1's already uploading. It'll probably be ready in like 5 minutes or something like that. So you can probably catch that. Part 2 will be a little bit later, so you'll have to wait on that. But check that out, and not on any Oddshot clips. Definitely make sure to check that out. Follow the channel if you guys enjoy the show, and then you can follow us all on Twitter at ChanManV, at R. Lewis Reports, right? Is that right? R. Lewis Reports, at Stephen Bonnell, and at Tempo Reynad. That's going to be it for Unfiltered this week. So for Reynad, Richard Lewis, Destiny, and ChanManV, we'll see you next time. Later.